Hi everyone and welcome to our daily show, The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics of the day right here in the heart of the newsroom. My name is Alyssa Wu and I'm coming to you live from the Straits Times. We are streaming live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, do subscribe to our channel and click that bell button to be notified whenever we go live. I'll be joined very shortly by my newsroom colleagues where we'll discuss the topics that got you talking today. Good news for first-time HDB flat buyers. According to announcements made by Mr. Lawrence Wong, the Minister for National Development, more first-time buyers will get higher grants and more flexibility to choose the size of their flat and its location. The two current housing grants, the additional Cpf housing grant and the special Cpf housing grant, will be combined into one, called the Enhanced Cpf Housing Grant. Under this new scheme, also known as EHG, there will be grants of up to $80,000 and will be available to eligible buyers. It can also be used to buy a new or resale flat. Now, to discuss how these changes will impact buyers and sellers, I have here with me Nicholas Mark. He is the Head of Research and Consultancy from ERA Realty, and of course, our housing and political correspondent, Rachel. So, Nicholas, in what way will these changes affect the housing market?
Well, I think it's going to affect the housing market in different layers. First of all, in the whole spectrum of the housing market, if we were to divide it into two broad groups, the public housing sector and the private housing sector, I think the biggest impact, of course, will be on the public, the HDB housing market. The group of people that will probably benefit the most are first-time home buyers. Those who haven't bought a HDB flat before, because the grants that they are eligible for has been increased. And at the same time, the government is also going to increase the supply of BTO flats, the new flats. So in other words, they will also have a wider selection of flats. But for existing HDB flat owners who are looking to sell their flats on the open market, they would also have potentially, there could be also more buyers because the government has also increased the grant given to buyers of resale HDB flats. There could also be a spillover effect from the public housing market to the private housing market. For example, some of the existing flat owners, when they sell their flats and they are looking to upgrade to private housing, will increase the demand for private housing subsequently.
And for Rachel, how will these changes affect first-time buyers' choices?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Nicholas said about the resale market, right? Because we're expecting a number of resale flats to go on the market because there was a glut at one point, a couple of years in a row, where we had 25,000 BTOs coming in every year. And we're supposed to see that the influx of potential flats reaching the minimum occupation period of 5 years coming onto the market. You know, if you go like a normal demand and supply chain, you would expect the more supply of flats to be there, you expect the price to go down in a way. But with the grants coming up, in a way it serves as an injection, right, Nicholas, don't you think?
Yeah, well, in a way it's injecting more liquidity into the market. But then we must also bear in mind that the HDB resale price index has been slipping, in other words, declining quite gradually over the last 3 to 4 years. Although they are like declining by about 1% to 1.5% each year, but it hasn't shown a turnaround yet, even though the private housing price market has already turned around in the last quarter. So, but because we're going to see potentially more demand, but there could also be more supply of HDB flats in the market. So this could even out. Its impact on the price of resale flats is still yet to be seen.
I think it's also important to note that in May, the government also relaxed Cpf rules. So for a long time, it was very difficult for people to buy flats that were approaching the end of their 99-year lease because there were Cpf rules that restricted the amount of money that you could take from the Cpf. Now that after May, some of the analysts said that they're starting to see an uptick in the interest in older resale flats. So I think in a way, this gives people more options. And it also prevents people who are holding on to older, aging HDB flats from having their flats the value of their flats go down to zero. So that's why some people say it might be an election measure, right? What do you think about that, Nicholas?
Well, it really comes down to also the age of the buyers, because the new rule that came out is that the buyers of the aging HDB flats, the remaining lease of the flats need to last the buyers until at least age 95. This thing hasn't changed. So we will still probably see the younger buyers who are looking to buy resale flats might still go for the slightly newer flats. While the older HDB flats will probably be more attractive to the older buyers.
Now, Nicholas, so what is your advice then for first-time buyers? Should they be going for BTOs or resale, or it's really up to their choice?
Well, I think it's really, they have to find something that really suits their needs and their budgets. So firstly, they may want to look at the locations. Where is it that they need? Because one of the grants is actually dependent on whether or not they are like to buy something that's near their parents, a home that's near their parents. That the location is very important. They may also want to consider buying at a place where in the future they might be able to raise their family. So perhaps somewhere that might be near schools and so on, or their place of work. Then secondly is their budget. Right? Even though the housing grant has been enhanced, but ultimately they will still need to be able to serve the mortgage for the whole duration of when they own the flats.
Now, Nicholas, earlier on you mentioned that it will affect two groups of people. First is those who are going for public housing, and then those going for private housing. So what is the impact on those looking to sell their private homes? Will it affect the private house market?
I think the impact on the private housing market is going to be less than the impact on the public housing market. Yes, there could be some of these existing private homeowners, they might be able to benefit from this new government policy, because for some of the HDB dwellers who are looking to sell their existing HDB flats, they will still need a place to live. So they may sell the flats and buy a resale flat. But at the same time, you could also see some HDB owners who may be looking to buy something from the show flat, something that's under construction. So now that with this new grant, it may give them more confidence to book a new condominium unit, for example, and they can be quite confident in the future they could sell their flats in about 2 to 3 years' time. When they are going to get the keys to the new condo, they will have a ready market.
So Rachel, maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on how the changes, how you see these changes affecting the resale market.
Well, I mean, I guess Nicholas kind of covered a lot of what we wanted to say, but the resale market, I guess, will definitely should see a stimulus from people who now are perhaps given a little boost from the extra grant that they otherwise would not have gotten before yesterday's announcement.
Okay. So before we end this segment, do you have any parting shot or any last words of advice for our viewers who are maybe first-time buyers?
I think really it is a real sweet spot for first-time buyers. They have many choices. And with the income ceiling raise, we also see a bigger group of first-time buyers. And at the same time, the income ceiling for executive condominium eligibility has also been raised. So in other words, we will also see a bigger groups of buyers that could be buying this hybrid housing type called executive condominiums. This could, in fact, right now there's only, in the whole of this year, there's only one new executive condominium project been launched, some located in Punggol. So we could see perhaps a big rush for this, to the show flat this weekend. I think that the government may also want to review this whole system of this whole scheme, this EC scheme, whether or not they would need to, I think they will need to increase the supply for EC land in order to give a wider choice of EC projects for these first-time home buyers.
And I mean, if I could just add,
sure.
I think some people might be looking at, well, a number of people who actually spoke to us after the news came out yesterday was like, oh, elections are coming. And interestingly, in 2015, PMD during his National Day rally in August 2015 announced an income ceiling, enhanced a grant also, the proximity housing grant. And a couple of weeks later, we had the September 11, 2015 elections. I do think that part of it could be early campaigning, but it's also the duty of every government to, make sure that this basic thing about putting a roof over everyone's head is fulfilled. And I think the upside of these programs, of yesterday's announcements, is that a lot of people are clearly going to benefit, and we should take a look at this larger goal of having of the government trying to encourage people to have families younger. That's a larger, longer term problem that Singapore, with its declining TFR, total fertility rate, needs to handle. And if it goes according to plan, hopefully people don't feel like they have to wait till like they're 35 to be able to afford a house and have kids. So who knows, right? Maybe more babies along the way.
Thank you so much, Rachel and Nicholas. Very well said, both of you. Thank you so much. Now, for more details on the new HDB announcements and to read our correspondent's analysis on the changes, do check out straitstimes.com.